After putting a nerve-wrackingly amount of hours into Monster Hunter Wilds in the last few weeks, I am sorry to my girlfriend and my family in general. We are ready to do the best monsters, the holy monsters, to the amazing, good, decent, bad, and you just don't want to fight them type of monsters as well. They're all going to be on this tier list. Let's get started. So getting started here, we have a Jarrakon, or Jarrakon. I don't know how to say 90% of these names, okay? We're going to put him up in good. I don't think he's an amazing fight, but I think he's a very good fight for a number of reasons. First, it is very satisfying slapping him on the cheeks with that forge at the start of the fight. That is always really fun to do. Does an insane amount of damage. You get a bunch of free hits in, etc. His move where he spins all around, flies up into the air, and slams down at you in like a Armageddon asteroid nuke type of ability. That is awesome. I really enjoy that as well. I think he's relatively challenging in regards to some of these other fights. You didn't definitely just slap him up like you can with the majority of these monsters, but that little bit of challenge and him slapping you up just a little bit is definitely pretty enjoyable. And then at the end of the fight, if you don't kill him fast enough, when he starts swinging around on those metal pipes and slamming down at you, that is awesome as well. So he has a lot of cool things there, and I really did enjoy this fight. I enjoy fighting him still, so I'm going to put him in good. I don't think he's amazing, but I don't think he's decent or bad. He's somewhere in the middle there, and I think this is a good spot to put him. Next, we have Guardian Fulgur Anjanath. Now, I'm going to move him to decent, because I do believe I had more fun fighting him in World. He was a lot more dangerous in World. Obviously, he was the apex predator of the first area in World in general. And I just think that challenge presented a bit more reward when I actually beat him. I had a more rewarding feeling when I beat him, especially in Iceborne when you fought Fulgur Anjanath for the first time and he was slapping me the hell up. But in this game, I slapped him up. I absolutely pooped on him. I don't even remember getting hit more than a couple times on my first fight fighting him. So he just wasn't as impressive in this game, I think, as he was in the previous games, in my personal opinion. Now, I do want to say I have not really seen the pulse on a lot of these monsters for a lot of the Monster Hunter YouTubers or viewers, so this is just my personal opinion. I might be wildly different than some other people. Next, we have Arkveld. We're putting him in amazing. Arkveld is absolutely amazing. I love this fight. Start to finish, absolutely love this fight. Even the tempered version of this fight, incredible. The hardest fight in the game is actually, in my opinion, the difficulty 5 tempered Arkveld that I just grind over and over and over again to get as much Ardean weapon, materials to craft the Ardean weapons as possible. But he's an absolutely amazing fight. Obviously, he's technically the end game end boss. He's the second to last boss in the base game of Monster Hunter World before you get to the end game, or before you get to the end game. And just in general, his story, his background, all of his abilities look so cool. When he's throwing down those chains at you from across the map, it is just a very unique fight in my personal opinion. And he's pretty challenging. He is very challenging, especially the tempered 5 difficulty version of Arkveld. I absolutely love him. Now, Guardian, I'm going to actually put him in the holy because the Guardians, in my personal opinion, have this extra element of just absolutely awesome to them that some of the other enemies don't have in the base. It's so unique in regards to Monster Hunters having these kind of bioengineered monsters that are cooking you. They obviously have the milk. If you have the milk, I'm going to put you up a rating. As long as you have some of that milk, some of that wyvern milk, you go up a rating for me. So very similar fight, obviously, with tad differences because it's a Guardian. I also like how if you get gear that has the kind of 3-set Guardian bonus on it, you can slap them up even more. So we're going to put them on the holy because I absolutely love that fight. I love both of these fights, but I do think the Guardian is just a step up from the normal Arkveld, even though if we're talking about the difficulty 5 tempered Arkveld, I might actually put him right up here. And difficulty, if this was the difficulty list, he'd be up there. Next, we have the Balahara, and a lot of people are going to disagree because it's a very early fight. A lot of people probably find this fight relatively basic, but I'm actually going to put this fight in amazing. It's not Arkveld amazing, but you know what? No, I'm going to put it right. I'm going to put it in good, right above the Ajarikon. And the reason that I do is because he uses the environment better than almost any other monster in the game, at least at the beginning of this game. He does such a good job. Obviously, he dives down, he swims around. When he's in that area, you'll see the sand bubbling. He does the entire sand whirlpool that you have to run out of. When he's shooting stuff at you, he's going to wrap around these different pillars. Some pillars you can shoot down, some you can't. He does so much with the environment that I really feel like he kind of emanates the, core philosophy of Monster Hunter Wilds in a lot of ways. That's probably why they put him such early on in the game in that first area to give you a feel. I also love how they always chase you just at the start of the game, or they're chasing you a little bit later and you have to save one of the NPCs in the game and they're diving everywhere. They're just really cool to me, so I'm going to put them at the top of good. I don't think it's an amazing fight, but it's definitely a good fight. Okay, now we have the Blanganga. I'm actually going to put the Blanganga as bad because it's just such a basic fight in my opinion, and that's okay to have a basic fight, but that late in the game, you're fighting him in the end game. It's such a basic fight that I kill him in under 3 minutes every time and he just dies. Like, I don't see what is so interesting about him in general versus when you fight him in some of the earlier games, he smacks you up. He actually does smack you up in some of the earlier games, and I think he's a lot cooler of a fight in the earlier games. But because all of the extra mechanics here that you can just knock down enemies constantly, you can just blast enemies so fast in this game, I'm going to put him in bad because I never really had a solid fun fight with him. It's just a real quick fight and then I move on. So I'm going to put him there. I think a lot of people potentially are going to disagree with that, but that's where we're going to put him. Chotacabra, I'm going to put him in decent. Again, he's one of those fights where it's at the start of the game. So if like the Blanganga, for example, it's a very similar fight. You beat him extremely fast, not similar mechanics, but you beat him extremely fast. He's basically for teaching you about the focus mechanics. He's the tutorial boss for that, basically. So because of that, I'm going to put him a step up of some of those other basic fights because of where he's at in the game and his role in general, being such an early fight and to teach you some of those things. But we're going to put him in decent. He has nothing super fun about him. I like his little tongue that, flies out and hits you. But other than that, it's just a decent fight. It's honestly hard for him to hit the hunter, and you just kind of use him as a training dummy at points. The next fight, Conga la 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 la, Conga la 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 la. We're going to put him at decent. And the only reason he's not there with the Blanganga in bad is because his fart bombs and because I remember fighting him on the PSP back in the day. And as a kid, he was always one of my favorite monsters. I absolutely love the Congalala, but he is not a great fight. He doesn't really do too much other than the pooping, which I do like the pooping. When he slaps you in the mouth with a big fart and you go flying across the map, that is always fun. His introduction was always fun with the little dudes picking all the fur off of him, and I thought that was cool, but he's such an easy fight. He's such a quick fight. You cook him really fast, so we're just going to put him at decent. I don't think he's any better than decent in my opinion. Doshiguma and Guardian Doshiguma. So we're going to put both of them in good. I'm going to do them at the same time because there's not too much different. Obviously, one has the milk. One has them big milkers. So we're going to put them a little bit better than the base version because I love the Guardians in this game. But the Doshiguma in general, the reason why I'm putting him in good is because, again, he has a unique mechanic in regards to him going around in packs. He's the first monster that does that, and you have to break him up in those packs to actually fight him one-on-one. I did that in the beta. You obviously do that in the base game as well, pretty early on into the game, and it kind of teaches you that for the most part. So I really like him in general. He has some cool moves, just a big-ass bear. But again, he's a really quick cook monster. You destroy him, and you destroy him extremely, extremely fast. So he's good for some of the unique mechanics he has, but I don't think he does anything specific in terms of his moveset that's going to make me put him up any higher than, you know, the bottom part of good. He's a little bit better than just a decent monster. All right. Now we have the Gormagala. I actually enjoy him more than base Arkfeld. I said it. I love Gormagala. I have always loved Gormagala. He's an awesome fight. The 5 difficulty tempered Gormagala is a very challenging fight. I did that for the first time, you know, just a week ago when I saw him, because it's pretty rare a lot of times to see those 5 difficulty monsters that you actually need to kill to get those Ardean weapon materials, etc. But he has a ton of cool moves in his moveset. He has that element that obviously if it builds up on you, you absolutely get destroyed. He's obviously a fan favorite monster as well, and that's no different for me. He's a very favorite monster for me as well. He looks cool. His story is cool in general. The monster is just all around badass, and he's fun to fight, so we're going to put him up at amazing. Now, moving on here, we have Gravios. Now, him, I'm going to put him in decent. I just don't think he has anything super interesting to him in regards to, you know, the previous games. There's nothing super crazy that's added to him in this game. Again, he's another one. He's a pretty easy fight. You just find him and you cook him. You find him in endgame. And yeah, that's pretty much all it is to say about Gravios. If you fought him before in previous games, it's very similar to fighting him in this game, but because this game, in my opinion, has a lot of things to make it easier, he's even easier, and he doesn't really pose that much of a challenge in general. So I'm going to put him in decent. Get out of here, ads! So I'm going to put him in decent, and yeah, we're going to move on from there. And now we have the Gypsaros. Listen, I love Gypsaros. I've always loved Gypsaros. He's just a fun little monster. He doesn't do too much. He has the little egg. He has the bok box. Shoots the fire at you. Randomly, he can cook you out of nowhere. So we're going to put him up in decent, below the Anjanath. We're going to keep him in decent. Again, he's one of those monsters, at least I feel like, is a fan favorite. I feel like a lot of people like Gypsaros. How can you not love Gypsaros? He's just a cute little bird that you cook, and he's guarding an egg. So we're going to put him right there. Now, moving on from there, we have the Hirobami. Another monster that fights in packs, kind of like the Doshiguma. However, it doesn't teach you in this one. It does teach you, I guess, when you first find him, but you really learn about the packs and how to spread out the packs with the Doshiguma, so I think he's important to the game and learning the game in general. But the Hirobami, I'm going to put him in bad. He's my least favorite monster to fight. Hands down, no question. I don't care. He is my least favorite monster to fight. I don't use ranged weapons. For the most part, I use melee weapons. I use longsword. I know, weeb, anime, weeb, whatever. I've been using it since the PSP, so I just stick with it as my main weapon and then move on to other weapons once I'm done with the longsword. But in general, it is so annoying just to have to hit his tail, wait for him to come down, and then blast him in 2 seconds. It's just an annoying fight. I don't like the fight. When they're in packs, you got to spread him out, follow one. And just in general, he doesn't do anything, I think, really cool. I do like kind of the movements he does in the air and when he attacks. When you first fight him, it is a little bit hard to read those when you don't necessarily know exactly what he's doing. But I've never really liked the Hirobami, man. I really don't. He is probably my least favorite fight in the game, and I was so annoyed when you have to go into the arena and you have to fight 2 of them. It is quick, so at least you get it over with quickly because they're pretty weak for the most part. They don't really offer a challenge, at least in my personal opinion, but just them flying around, it's just annoying. It really is just annoying. Okay, moving on to the Jin Dahad. I mean, come on. What else do you got to say about the Jin Dahad? What else do I have to say about the Jin Dahad? He is absolutely incredible. Yes, he's a scripted fight, and he's going to move to the different areas on that script. There's going to be specific mechanics in those areas, specifically with the last area where he does the one-shot mechanic and you have to pull down the thing and then you have to hide behind it and then you have to go unless you have like a gun lance and you can do the parry for it or whatever the case may be. I just saw a video the other day. But he is an amazing fight. From start to finish, scripted or not, he's an absolutely amazing fight. On top of that, his aesthetic, the area you fight him in, is the coolest, in my opinion, in the entire game. It is a very cinematic fight because of that, but it is awesome. His mechanics as well, when you have to break his outer shells in certain areas, and then you do more damage to those, is awesome. He is a very challenging fight with a lot of the different mechanics he has in his moveset. Not only that one-shot mechanic, but he has a lot of other things as well that are just going to cook you the first time fighting him, that you really have to do kind of manage your positioning with him. If you have the dual blades build, you can go up from the top of his head, because he's an extremely long monster, spin all the way down him and absolutely cook him. There's so many cool things you can do in this fight. The fight itself is one of the coolest, in my opinion, the coolest in the entire game, and you have to put him in the because that fight is just, in my opinion, a legendary fight in Monster Hunter. He's an absolutely awesome monster, and he's my favorite, hands down my favorite in the entire game. Now, moving on, we got the Spider Boy, the Ballerina. Ooh, this is kind of a hard one for me, but we're going to put him in good. We're going to put him at the, actually no, we're going to put him above the Doshiguma, below the Ajarikon, specifically because I do think it's a really cool monster. It's a very unique monster in that it is a spider, so you don't see that, like, ever, obviously, within Monster Hunter. And on top of that, I do like a lot of the moves and the movesets and the lore behind him in general. The fact that he, like, makes the whole forest in the water red, I think that's really cool. I like the webs that he shoots up. I think that's really cool. I like how he's, like, very stagnant and then very erratic with his moves. I just think it's, like, a very unique type of moveset for a monster in Monster Hunter in general. And, I mean, it's a really easy fight. Let's be honest. It's an extremely easy fight. You can cook him in seconds, but his intro was also really cool, where he wraps people up in the webs, and then you have to save the guy he wraps in the web. I just think, in general, it's a fun fight. It's obviously very unique to Monster Hunter, and it's a pretty damn good fight in general, and it has lore implications for the world and why it looks the way it does, like a lot of the monsters, obviously, in the game do. But I just think he's a pretty good fight in general. So, real quick, I moved Mizutsuni to the end. I believe that's how you say his name. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all, for the name butchering, but it is what it is. Next, we have the Nursilla, because he's not going to be getting added into the game until April, obviously. So, next we have the Nursilla. I'm going to be honest. Okay, again, it is a spider fight, so in that respect, it is unique, but it just doesn't do as much, in my opinion, as the Ballerina. It was a very forgettable, boring fight for me. I never felt the need to want to go back and fight Nursilla again. It was just, that's kind of what I felt about it. Just, it was alright. It didn't have his, the unique poop that the Kingalala has, not the unique egg. Obviously, Anjanat's awesome. So, just in general, I'm just going to put him really kind of in the middle of decent. I don't really care about him that much at all. Honestly, I might do this. I might actually do this. I might put the Hirobami in UG. I know, Hirobami hates, but that's me, man. That's me. I do not like the Hirobami. Get him out of here. Moving on. Yep, we're doing it. Moving on, we have the new Udra. I mean, what more is it to say? Oh, this is hard. The apexes in this game are awesome. New Udra is obviously an apex. It's the first octopus monster we've ever really seen. And at first, I didn't really love the new Udra for a couple different reasons. And really the main reason and the couple reasons were its tentacles. I had no idea where these tentacles were coming from. I was getting hit when I didn't think I should be getting hit. It's flying across the map, cooking me. I was like, what is going on? Why can't I read this monster? But as you learn to read the monster, it is a lot easier and you can cook them a lot easier. I think it's so cool you can cut off each and every one of those tentacles within a fight. Obviously, if you're using a weapon that can do so. That is really very rewarding, at least in my opinion. Very satisfying. I love hitting him with the forge, just like the Ajarikon. I love how big he is. He looks like and just kind of feels like he's supposed to be in Apex in general. I absolutely love that whole thing, and just them calling him the Black Flame. Then you got to search for him and you find him for the first time. He has an awesome intro. Just all of that combined, I was excited to go keep fighting him, especially once I learned his moveset a little bit more. I definitely am excited to fight him, and I still get excited to fight him because he's so cool. So we're going to keep him up in amazing. I don't think he does anything crazy. For example, it's not like he has the, you know, a Jarkon spinning around, jumping up in the air, slamming down on you type of thing that I'm just like, whoa. But just in the respect, he is an Apex, and he's cool and looks and feels like that Apex he's supposed to be. And then, obviously, the fight is relatively fun as well, and he's very unique in that he is an octopus. Don't want to say everything over again, but just kind of emphasizes the fact that I think it's an amazing fight in general. Now, Ebony Odogoron. Now, this one's very interesting because I have fought him more than almost any monster in this entire game because I had to clean him up for the early and the high rank armor set. We're going to put him at good. We're going to put him above Doshiguma, below Lala Barina. Obviously, we've all fought the Odogoron a million times within Monster Hunter. I fought him a million times in Monster Hunter World as well. I think the fact that he's a Guardian does make him just look way cooler, and he's got the milk, so we got to throw him up at least in good because of the milk. I don't think any Guardians are going to be below that, but we'll have to see as we go through the next few. But he has a really good armor set, so I fought him a lot, and there's really nothing super fun about him. Honestly, sometimes I do find the fact that he's so erratic a little bit annoying and hard to read his moves, but that also makes him a relatively good fight in a way, because you feel like once you learn them, you kind of do master him in a way. He does have that type of feeling. He is pretty easy just in general. He's not super hard. You can kind of cook him pretty fast, but again, I fought him a ton of times, and I never got bored of fighting him necessarily, so I just think he's a relatively good monster. He doesn't have a ton of uniqueness to him, but at the same time, he's definitely not a bad monster by any means, and I do think he's above the decent category as well. So we're going to put him here for those reasons, and thank you for having the best offensive ability in Burst, at least for me, in your armor set. I absolutely love it, and it helps me pump these monsters extremely fast. Now, the Quamitris or Quilometris or whatever, I don't know how the hell you say this dude's name. He is going to oh my god, bro, I'm gonna, won't even let me exit it now, so shout out to them. The Quilometris, we're gonna put him right here at the kind of bottom part of decent. He's a very early fight. I think he's the second fight you fight in the entire game. The only really cool, unique thing is I do like his little fire tail that he throws out at you. I really do like that. But other than that, it's hard to even really know what he does because he dies so fast every single time. He's that monster, when I get like a really good weapon, I just immediately go fight him because he's right outside of that base camp in the Windward Plains, and I just kill him in like 1 minute. I'm like, okay, yep, that's my warm-up for the day, or yeah, I like this weapon. That's kind of what I like doing with him. So, the Quilometris, bottom of decent, there it is. Next, we have Rathalos and then Guardian Rathalos. Ooh. I mean, what else can you say about Rathalos, man? I'm going to put him below the Lala Barina because of how unique it is. And I do think flying monsters, sometimes when they're not hitting the ground, they can be annoying. But he's so sporadic. He's so erratic. He has a lot of additions to his moveset, I think, in this game. Maybe I'm wrong about that because I haven't fought the Worlds one in a while. But I think he actually does have some extra moves added into his moveset that I think make him pretty fun and make him different, because we obviously see him as like the flagship monster of the Monster Hunter series in general, basically, him and Rathian. I do love him. I do love him. I've always liked fighting him. His armor's always cool and good. His weapons are always cool and good. I used it for a while in this game as well as I was going through the ranks. So I'm going to put him here. And then obviously you got the Guardian Rathalos, which you actually fight first, I believe. That has the Wyvern Milk on there, so shout out to the Wyvern Milk, shout out to the Wilks. We're going to put them up kind of in the mid-range, higher to the good. The only reason I have them below Lala Barina, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people potentially might disagree with that, is because I do think it's really, you know, like I said, I think he's a pretty unique fight from what other fights that we have had in this series. Now, Rathian, I actually like the Rathian fight a little bit more. I will say, he spams that tail swipe more than he's ever spammed it in any Monster Hunter game ever, maybe. Like, I'm constantly just getting poisoned by that, even though I know it's coming, because I just like, all right, he's using it again, whatever, just get an extra hit in and get cooked by it. I don't care. Like, it just gets annoying after a while. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Again, I haven't fought him in World in forever, but I still think he's a really good fight. I mean, it's Rathian. It's always been a fun fight. I don't know if they changed. It does sound a little bit different than the previous games. I don't know if I'm crazy about that, but I did notice he sounds a little bit more, what's the word for it? A little bit more alien in nature, less dragon in nature. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that, and he sounds the exact same, and I'm just dumb, but that's where we're going to put him. I love Rathian. I love Rathalos. Everybody does, right? They're not the best ever, but they're definitely not decent. They're better than that, so we're going to throw them there. Next, going into the Ray Dow. Brother, the Ray Dow is awesome. He is awesome. I cannot put him above the Jindahad. But the Ray Dow, in my opinion, is my second favorite fight in this game. Hands down. When the storm starts happening in the Windward Plains, and there's lightning coming down everywhere, and then you fight him in that room that is emanating lightning from the ground, and he is shooting you with a railgun on his head. He's scraping up the ground with his wings while he's flying around. I mean, dude, he is one of the coolest monsters I have ever fought in Monster Hunter, in my opinion. I absolutely love the Ray Dow. At least in the base game. There's some, obviously, there's some insane ones later on, and I'm sure there will be more insane ones in this game as well once Master Ray DLC and more monsters come out. But in the base game, I mean, Ray Dow it's a huge highlight for me personally. Obviously, another Apex. They did an absolutely incredible job with Apex monsters in this game in general. Now we have the Rompopolo. A lot of people that I've read on Twitter, at least, do like this fight. I hate him. I hate him. He's one of those fights that, in my opinion, it's like, yeah, this is a really easy fight, but I'm just annoyed because I'm constantly poisoned. Yes, I'm probably just getting hit by stuff and suck, but it is what it is, right? It does feel good to cook him because he just looks so stupid, in my opinion. Like, he just looks so stupid, man. He's just a stupid little rooster bird boy that poisons you and is annoying. I don't know. I don't really know what else. I don't know what else to say about a Rompopolo. I don't like him. I don't like him. And I think he's a bad fight because he's easy and poisons you. But maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I suck at the game. I mean, F the Rompopolo. Now we are at Uth Duna. Another Apex. Another banger. I love this fight. He's the first, I think, kind of challenging fight in the entire game, in my opinion. He's actually relatively difficult, and he kind of comes out of nowhere, but what I like about him is you knock off all of the little flaps that he has, and then you start cooking him, and as you keep fighting him, he eventually goes to an area with all the water. Again, you fight him in a storm, as is a lot of these different Apexes. You fight him in a certain, season or whatever it may be in that area, and he just starts causing waves at you, like straight up, like, it feels like I'm just getting slapped with tsunamis in the ocean. It was awesome. It was such a cool feeling. And he's just a pretty fun, cool fight in general that I have not gotten bored of fighting. I absolutely love the new Udra. Sorry. The Uth Duna. They're right next to each other as well. But, yeah, we're going to put him right there. He's an amazing fight in my opinion. And yeah, he's really fun. Okay, now moving on to the Zuwu. And honestly, I feel the same way about the Zuwu as I do about Nursilla. And of that, it's just like, you have a better version of yourself somewhere else in the game. You don't do anything more interesting than the new Udra does. Just like the Nursilla doesn't do anything more interesting than the Lobarina does. So for that fact, we're going to put him here. Again, it is a unique fight. It's fun to chop off the different tentacles, but I would just always rather fight the the new Udra. Dude, these names are killing me, man. They're killing me. I apologize, Monster Hunter fans. Now, the Kutku! Oh, man. I feel the same way about him as I do about the Gypsaros. I actually like him a little bit more because he's very nostalgic to me. He was one of the first monsters I ever fought in the history of my monster hunting experience back way on the PSP. I absolutely love him. I mean, he's not a crazy good fight by any means. His charging around the map is insanely annoying at times. And he can actually do some damage to you, a lot more damage than you think he's going to be able to do to you. So we're going to put him in decent. I do like him. I just like him. He just has like there's a soft spot for me for him in general, and I absolutely love him for that. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the Zoshia. The last boss of the story in Monster Hunter Wilds before you go into the endgame. The fight that I want to head to Capcom and wring their necks. Why the absolute hell are we not able to fight him again at any point in the base game or in the end game at all? I know he's going to be added in later. I know we're going to fight him again 100%. But why can we not fight him more than once? Oh, it is so depressing because he's such an amazing fight. And I'm honestly going to put him right here. I liked him more than the Ray Dow. He's that good and awesome of a fight. I like Jin Haddad. He's my favorite. Or Jin Dahad. Oh my god. But either way, he's an absolutely amazing fight. He feels like he's like a culmination of these different monsters kind of thrown together in a lot of ways. He has like the under version, which is like the black version. And then he has like the white that is the complete opposite of like the black, you know, hands or legs or whatever, as you're knocking off different armor parts and knocking off different shielding that he has. I don't actually really know. I never fought him again, so I was never really able to, you know, figure out what was really going on with that fight. Other than like some of the story points that kind of explain it a little bit. But just in general, he is such a fun fight because of that. He is a very unique fight. He's a very cool boss in a cool fight. He's obviously the penultimate boss of the game. He's after you actually beat the Guardian Arkveld. So he's incredible, and it's just an absolute shame we cannot fight him again. It is criminal that we can't fight him again. Now, Mizutsune, where do I think he's going to end up being? I think he's going to be somewhere in the amazing category or at the top of good when he does get added in April. I can't put him back. I can't put him back. I can't put him back. But this is the final tier list, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you don't disagree too much. Again, I haven't really gotten a good pulse on what the other monster hunters and people within the community or YouTubers have really said about all of these monsters. And I haven't really seen a lot of tier lists out there as of yet. So, but this is going to kind of be my final tier list on what I think. I do think people are going to probably disagree with the decents or the bads just because I don't know. Some people just might like them more than I did. But again, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you are new to the channel, you like gaming news, gaming reviews, and fun things like this from time to time, and you like the video that you see here, please like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.